Hey everyone, my name is Ash and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we will be discussing influencers. We'll talk about the origins of influencers and what they are now, the positives and negatives of having and being an influencer, my thoughts regarding everything discussed today, and much more. But before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Also, please leave a comment letting me know your thoughts on today's video, as well as other topics you would want to see in the future. Now, let's get started. Now, if you are someone who has been tuned into the happenings of the internet today, you have probably heard of influencers. With the ability to go viral for anything nowadays, they are the new age of celebrities, with the platform not being the big screen or the flat screen, but the small screen. The term influencer has many different meanings, but for this video, I will be using the ones found on influencermarketing.com. In their article, What is an Influencer?, they define the aforementioned word as someone who has the power to affect the purchasing decisions of others because of his or her authority, knowledge, position, or relationship with his or her audience, and someone who has a following in a distinct niche with whom he or she actively engages. The size of the following depends on the size of his or her topic of the niche. Now, this definition can extend itself into celebrities, but for this video, we will be focusing predominantly on those who have achieved internet fame. The influencer is someone who has a certain degree of influence in a specific field on social media. Fans from all over like and repost these influencers, extending their reach into new domains. There are many different types of influencers, and they are categorized in many different ways. One way would be by content. People are quite familiar with the term YouTuber, which is most commonly used when discussing larger channels on the YouTube platform. But in the past couple years, the terms Viners, Musers, and TikTokers have come up to define larger influencers on the Vine, Musical.ly, and TikTok apps. Another way to categorize influencers is by the amount of followers they have. There are 4 different types: mega influencers, macro influencers, micro influencers, and nano influencers. Mega influencers are those who are said to have over 1 million followers, while right behind it, macro influencers are said to be those who have followings between 40,000 to 1 million followers. After macro influencers comes micro influencers, who have a following between 1,000 to 40,000 followers. And last, we have nano influencers, who are people who have less than 1,000 followers. Influencers are able to persuade their followers into participating in certain trends or buying products by social persuasion. Fans of influencers usually admire or are inspired by them and want to be like them or have the things that they have. This goes hand in hand with influencer marketing, where influencers endorse products and services to their followers. This can be through dancing to sponsored songs on TikTok, to showing fans how well the PR box of skincare products work. Influencers have a lot of power, whether they know it or not. From the nano influencers to the mega influencers, a decent amount of people are keeping up with them and hanging on to their every word. With that being said, a lot of responsibilities and opportunities come with being an influencer. We will go into more detail about this later, as well as how it affects the general public, both positively and negatively. Now that we've discussed who influencers are and what they do, we can now discuss the positives and negatives. We'll start with the positives and then we'll move on to the negatives. For one, becoming an influencer is an attainable goal towards some form of fame. Years ago, you had to be an actor, singer, or at least someone in the entertainment industry to become famous. Nowadays, you can make endless connections on the internet to build up a fan base and work with more companies and brands than you ever imagined. This possibility for regular people to have the same or similar opportunities to those they have grown up watching or listening to is something that more and more people are leaning towards and achieving. The next point is that influencers are entertaining. I know a lot of people like myself definitely were keeping up with influencers a lot more in the past couple months. Other than possibly aspiring to be just like them, we watch and follow influencers because they keep us informed and entertained with their daily life. We see some of them being just like us, and we hang on to the relatability factor. We also see others who are probably a lot more better off than we are, and watch them for aspiration or jealousy reasons. Either way, we still can't help but be drawn in by them or their content. The last thing I wanted to discuss is the positive influence that they have. Influencers are a lot more diverse than celebrities had and have been. With that being said, we are more likely to have people that look like us, that act like us, and actually want to get to know us. Not saying that celebrities don't do this as well, but there has been more of a disconnect between the general public and celebrities, which has caused the internet to say that celebrities are out of touch. Influencers tend to be more in tune with what is happening with the general public and have the ability to quickly adapt to our needs and give us the products and content that we want. There are an endless amount of other positives that come with being an influencer, but these are the main ones I wanted to discuss in this video. If you have any other positives you want to discuss, let me know in the comments below. Now that we've discussed the positives of influencers, we can move on to the negatives. The first thing I want to touch on is the negative influence that these influencers can have. Obviously, with all the positives that influencers have, they also can have their share of negatives. If the regular run-of-the-mill drama that shouldn't necessarily be on social media wasn't enough, influencers have gotten themselves into a lot of problems as of recent. From advertising possible scam makeup brands, to not disclosing ads properly, to making basic general apologies, to even promoting partying during a pandemic, influencers haven't been the best about reading the room. The next negative I wanted to discuss is the rise of the fake influencer. These influencers from a surface level look exactly like actual organic influencers, but a closer look will show you differently. Fake influencers usually inflate their following by buying followers to make them look popular. On top of that, they may even buy likes and comments to keep the like consistent. These accounts usually get exposed by the algorithm, usually noticing the inconsistency in their numbers. But this might not come until after these people have secured brand deals and more on these false followings. Some even fake their account, posing as someone or something they're not. For those who remember Emo Black Thought, they were a Twitter user who pretended to be a black woman, but eventually came forward saying they were a man. These accounts, and many others like them, detract from actual influencers and put them in a negative light. The last negative I wanted to discuss is the emotional and physical toil of being an influencer. Being an influencer can be really exciting. Having a group of people rooting for you and wanting you to succeed can be such a rush of dopamine. But being a public figure does come with a lot of downsides. Your feelings sometimes get negated because there's always this need to be on or happy with your fans and your life. Your privacy and comfortability can sometimes be stripped away because people feel entitled to your business. Your self-esteem can also be called into question because how can you feel bad about yourself when your goal is to someone else? These things and more can make influencers feel like a puppet on a string, being pulled along by those they want to keep happy and impress. And while influencers try to handle these feelings, this attempt to keep everything perfect is unsustainable. Eventually one may burn out, having to take breaks from the job, or quitting altogether. These are just some negatives I have seen personally, and some brought up by others. Now that we've discussed the positives and negatives of influencers, I turn the mic over to you. What do you like or dislike about influencers? Do you follow any influencers? Let me know in the comments below. In my personal opinion, I like the concept of an influencer. I like that the everyday Joe can essentially craft any job or experience they want through gaining a following. However, my main issue with influencers is that there are distinct differences between influencers and actual celebrities that aren't being addressed. Celebrities have teams of people working on their PR, their image, and every part of their brand. Influencers who are still in the coming up stage don't have that, or not the same degree as a celebrity. Therefore, what ends up happening is that the influencer ends up in more sticky situations because they don't have the people in their court helping them. I find that more and more influencers keep getting themselves into trouble because they don't have as much concern about their brand and live in this "I don't care what people think about me" mindset, which can be very problematic because a lot of people put a lot of trust and care into these influencers. And if these influencers are being negatively impactful, even if they don't care, someone else does. Their fans do, the brands they work for do, even their friends and close family do, and they can all be negatively impacted because of the mishandlings of these influencers. Now, does that mean that influencers should be overly cautious about everything they do? Not necessarily. People, for the most part, should or do know better. And while sometimes we like to equate influencers to role models, they aren't always going to accept that title. It's a lot of responsibility, and for people who blew up for just being themselves, they might not want to necessarily change themselves because they have a following now. If the influencer you are following is doing the wrong thing, it is ultimately up to you if you're going to follow suit or not. It is also up to you to determine if you're going to continue supporting them, even if what they're doing is wrong. We as a society need to start making informed decisions about who we want to support and who we don't. If we want to see more positive influencers, we need to support them. And the same with negative influencers. If we don't want to support them, then we don't. Being an influencer is an amazing opportunity for those who want to be impactful in someone's life. While it does come with its ups and downs, influencers are here to stay for the long run. Now it is the time we flesh out what it means to be an influencer and determine who we want influencing us in the years to come. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment letting me know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!